Hi everyone, Brad Holley from Varrow. Thanks again for having me out, Tyler. I do appreciate the opportunity to present to you. So let's take a review of what we discussed last meeting and also what was reviewed in the email. So some of the pain points that you guys are having currently, continuous growth. Continuous growth is a big problem that's happening within the IT world right now. Obviously, people are trying to store more and more data. It's expected to have 50 times the growth coming up here. So let's jump right into virtualization. Virtualization is a topic that you have expressed interest in, so I want to make sure that we're going to do a brief overview. We'll dive deeper into it probably the following meeting. Next pain point, consolidation of servers. So what you guys have right now is a one-to-one environment from what I understand, meaning you're running one application to one server. You guys want to reduce cost. Obviously, all the CIOs are wanting to cut down price. Tyler, I'm sure you can understand with me on this one. Next, disaster recovery. Disaster recovery is a huge thing. Obviously, everyone has seen some of the disaster recovery horror stories, but let's just not get into that because we're going to hopefully avoid every bit of that. Server consolidation benefits are one of the key things that are going on right now. There's a ton of benefits that's going to be happening for you. So let's jump right in. Main vendors of virtualization. First, we have VMware, the biggest, the mothership, as I like to call them, for virtualization. Next, we have Citrix and Microsoft. Currently, your server environment, as I was explaining earlier, is you have your hardware, your operating system that's on it, and then you have an application on top of that. This is a very inefficient way of doing things, but that's why I'm here to explain to you about virtualization to hopefully get you guys ramped up. Okay, so here's an example of a server environment with virtualization. So the way this works is you have your hardware piece, you have your operating system, Windows or Linux, then you have the VMware server, also known as the hypervisor. Once you have the hypervisor, then you get to run multiple applications. You can run 8 to 10 applications on a server or more. So that's just in itself proving to you that you can have less servers to then have more consolidation right there. So, vMotion migration is a huge component of VMware's thing that everybody is liking these days. So for example, if you have server 1 and server 2, and we'll call this one guest 1 and this one guest 2. Let's say you had to do maintenance on server 2. So we would go into the console of vCenter, which is complements of VMware. You would go into the console, you would then tell guest 2 to move over to server 1. So this process would happen behind the scenes, zero downtime. Your current people in your IT would have zero idea that this was going on. So you would move everything over here for daily maintenance, let's say, or let's say something was going wrong on this one. So once we moved over that stuff, we could do the maintenance on this one and then go back into vCenter and move it back over. That's one of the great things. Also, some of the key points that vMotion does is it improves disaster recovery with minimal downtime. So as I was explaining with this, they also have high maintenance and false tolerance. So those are two things that we can dive into deeper next meeting, but that's a great points that we need to hit on. Next, we have allowing the machine to operate in maintenance with zero downtime. Also, just explaining again, if there was a problem and this server completely shut down, with vMotion, you would be able to access back into your SAN, such as a VNX, which we'll discuss a little bit later, and move it over into server 1. All of the vCenter will be maintained and operated through the vCenter portal. Okay, so let's jump real quick into the EMC VNX. Great storage device, highly recommend it, love selling it. Moved right in. EMC has the most integration points with VMware. They donate a lot of money towards the VMware license. Next, they increase automation and availability with the VNX. There's high maintenance and availability for your applications. And lastly, they reduce the recovery time of bringing back data. So as I was explaining earlier in the last, let's say server 2 shut down. With the vMotion, it would work with the EMC VNX device, go down into the SAN, pick out of the SAN the information that was on server 1, and start running it in one of the virtual machines over in server 1. Lastly, the EMC benefits. The VNX can support a minimum or mix of drives, flash, SAS, nearline SAS. So basically any of your connectivity that would need to connect into your storage array, this would be able to do it. You're going to be driving cost out through the industry's leading utilization, consolidation, and automation. So this one in particular will store both block and file data, which is unique because some storage devices are not doing that currently. Scalability is huge with this device. This is exactly why I like selling this device so much, is for the pure fact that you can start small because they built this product directly around the consumer. So they understand that you might not want to jump all in at the current moment, but you want to start here and then your company may grow. So then we don't want to have to make you keep buying new devices. This device will scale out perfectly for your future growth of the company, and also how we were talking about one of your pain points earlier about how reducing costs and things like that can happen. So once you make the initial investment into the VNX, this will help your process of moving along from there. Last, the data protection and recovery is phenomenal with this machine. Very minimal downtime, very quick response, and works amazingly with the VMware. So once again, from Varrow, I do appreciate you having me out. Some questions I have for you guys right now is, moving forward, what is the time frame that we're looking on this? What questions may you have? Would you be open to having one of my specialists on board and come out here on the site with us and we can have a little more in-depth technical dive into there? I wanted to just give you a brief overview real quick as to what was going on in the virtualization world, since this is your first time playing around with it. So thank you very much again for having me out, and I do appreciate the time.